All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're back again with Stacy and Tiffany. I want to thank Tiffany for coming and joining me again this evening. And then tonight we have a special guest. Her name is Cindy Bertram, and I'm going to let Tiffany introduce her because you guys have worked together or have done things together at a
Yes,
different in a
yes,
different capacity.
we met. Yes, and I met Cindy on my show that I've done for the past what 6 months to a year now, and it's called Beyond the Lines. I was a former host of that, and I brought Cindy on my show, and we talked about travel, and I was so amazed about her expertise in travel. And you and I know how that can be. We like to travel. There are different requirements now, and she shared with me some very interesting stories, not only with her book at the time that deals with the cruise industry, but after that, we also had many, many conversations about travel and the requirements of travel and what you should do. And one of the things that she brought up was travel insurance in our conversations. And I just thought that was a wonderful thing to have. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about, as Cindy Bertram is the expert in cruise travel or travel in as a whole. And we'll be talking about the insurance aspect of it and why you need to be protected.
Right. And before we have Cindy speak, people are wondering, well, why are we talking about this? Because we understand that um, that part of you having a proper foundation is having enough insurance coverage, and that's in different areas, whether it be health insurance, life insurance. And if you are a traveler and you travel frequently or not, we know that this is an important part of your financial portfolio if you do travel. And so, but again, most people don't understand what travel insurance is. I truly don't understand what travel insurance is. I don't have it. So, Cindy, thank you for coming on board. And we just want to learn about, what is travel insurance and why is it so important?
Okay, that's a definitely good question. As mentioned, I was on a guest on her show, Tiffany's show, but also I originally worked as a travel advisor, then started contributing columns to different trade magazines, and have been writing for my friend Jeff, who has Premier Travel Media for 22 years on the side. Plus, I've also written for other publications. I have contributed to 3 different PR News guidebooks. I was actually a guest speaker at the First Writers Boot Camp in Chicago, was the opening speaker. I've also presented workshops at different cruise and travel conferences myself too. But the point is, when I worked as a travel advisor myself, I always made sure that people were aware of the need for travel insurance. Because if something comes up on a trip, you're on your own, basically. And like I said, we have different travel insurance companies that are really, really fantastic. But I had one client at the time who actually, anytime her grandkids graduated from high school, she took them on a big trip to celebrate. And one time she took her grandkids and her daughter on a trip to the Galapagos. Okay, it's a very, very expensive trip. She wouldn't take travel insurance.
Okay.
I was trying to persuade her in a very, very nice way. I said, well, you do insure your car, don't you? Yes, but this trip was almost $30,000.
Wow.
And I was a little worried because she's an older person. She wouldn't take insurance. I had her sign a disclaimer because I didn't want to get caught in the middle with this. Thank goodness everything went correctly. But the point is, every time I take a cruise trip or something like that, I buy insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
I've had to use it a couple of times, but the point is too is now with things that have come up so bad with the pandemic and coronavirus, et cetera, plus the biggest thing right now have been the cancellation of flights, flight delays, more delays. It's been really horrific. I ran into a problem myself. I was actually attending this cruise conference as media. I was coming back on April 1st. The conference ended that afternoon. I checked at a hotel, went to the conference. Then about 12 noon, I get a text message from the airline. They canceled my flight that evening.
Oh, wow.
Right. And what happened was, luckily, I called that airline, was on hold for an hour, and it says, no, they canceled the flight. There's nothing we can do. They put me in two connecting flights the next morning, right? Well, thank goodness, because I already checked the hotel. We can find a hotel. They're expensive. I had a friend who's staying at the same hotel, and she said, room with me. I paid her half the cost of the hotel, which is still $135. I got up
Wow.
early at 6:30 the next morning. I started getting text messages from the airline that said they were delaying my flights, delaying my flights, delaying my flights. So I get to the airport. I was going to the airport, called the airline, the hold for 2 hours. I get to the airport, the line to wait to get to the front desk for the airline was 90 minutes. But when you look at the screens, I've never seen so many flight cancellations in my life. It was unbelievable. And I finally got to the desk, and this person represented from that airline said, I'll put you on 3 connecting flights so you don't misconnect. Then I finally get to the gate. They kept delaying our flight. We finally took off later. I had 2 more connecting flights. I kept getting text messages. They were delaying my flight from not just a flight from Lauderdale to Dallas, but from Houston, then Houston, Dallas, Chicago. They kept sending me text messages. I mean, I'm glad I did take text messages because then I keep track of things. But once again, too, is when I finally landed in Houston, they sent me text messages. Mine is April 2nd, that they were delaying my flight from Dallas, Chicago until the next day. The final one they gave me was like 9:57 p.m. on April 3rd.
Oh,
Wow.
I get to the gate. When I finally get to Dallas, run to the gate just to check. I was in line for like an hour, but they said, no, we should be leaving at 2:00 in the morning on April 3rd. We left 2:00 in the morning and arrived at 4:00 in the morning. But the point is, I got back 2 days later.
Wow.
Yes. And when it was, I wound up, I did file a complaint with the airline. And what they do is they actually gave me flight credits to use. But the point is, I wrote an article about it, published it on LinkedIn. I did mention the airline because this was coming up with every airline out there. And the title of my article was My April Fool's Day Reality. Because it happened April Fool's, right? Day, April 1st.
Wow.
Flight delays, flight cancellations, delays. But I just was very transparent because once again, people knew what's going on there. I mean, there were so many cancellations. It was unbelievable. I mean, I could not believe how many cancellations I ran across just at the Fort Lauderdale airport that weekend. It was unbelievable. And then I also wrote another article separately on LinkedIn, again, to publish on LinkedIn, just mentioned some steps to take to be protective. Then what happened was, in this case, it was just a travel conference, right? So I didn't purchase travel insurance. But then I also took a cruise myself. It was end of April. It was an 8-night cruise. I wanted to get back on a ship because I tell people I was going through ship withdrawal. I like taking cruises and I want to write about it too, because once again, people ask me, okay, what's going on with cruise ships? What do you need to do as far as protocols? I've written about it because they were pausing for so long because they had to go through protocols first to present to the Center for Disease and Control. But I wanted to experience it myself. So I took a cruise with a friend and we sailed out on April 30th. And then coming back on May 8th, it was good to experience it because at that point, cruise lines were requiring that even if you'd been vaccinated, you had to have a rapid antigen negative test done less than 3 days before you boarded the ship.
Okay.
Okay, I had it done. Then when we got to the port where we're going to be actually embarking on the ship, we had an area that was a separate area that we had to wait in line 6 feet apart with mask on. And instead of going to big front desk, they had people that were greeting us and checking to make sure we had our negative test. Then we went to another area for the official check-in. In this case, too, once again, before when you checked in with a cruise ship, they had these big desks, right? They didn't do that. They had an individual person check us in individually. Then we get on the ship. In this case, masks were not required all the time. When I did shore excursions, sometimes they did require them, but it was good to kind of explain to people what I experienced myself because people need to know that.
Yes, they do.
But in this case, what happened was I couldn't find an early enough flight that day I was coming back on May 8th. The flight I was departing on was at 5:45. There weren't a lot of nonstop flights at all, nothing. And so what I did was got to the airport. I took a shore excursion after the disembarked from the ship. It was gorgeous, Port Everglades, but the Everglades was great. I had actually lived down there for a while, but never actually experienced the Everglades myself. It was a really fantastic trip. Got to the airport, had plenty of time to get checked in. We finally get to board on the plane, right? But then we're waiting Okay, and all of a sudden the flight attendant comes on and says, well, there's a big traffic delay. We're gonna be leaving an hour late. I had a connecting flight in Baltimore,
Oh,
Washington.
no.
Yes, I was scared to death, but I thought, okay, just kind of go. We took off finally, an hour late. I finally asked the flight attendants, okay, what's the protocol in case I don't make my flight? She says, well, we landed in Baltimore, get to the gate. Well, the thing is, they just don't let people get off the plane. People jam up. I mean, before, if people are connecting flights, they let them first, people don't pay attention to that. So anyway, I get off the plane, I turn my phone on, and they told me that they put me on a flight the next morning.
Oh,
I
wow.
went to the gate to see what happened. The flight had just taken off 5 months before. I misconnected, and they were just not very helpful. They just kind of said, okay, here's an app, find a hotel.
Oh,
Yes, and we're talking like 9, 10 at night. I went to 3 different people at the different gates, work for the airline. Says, no, here's an app, find a hotel. No, forget it. I did a little search, found a hotel, but once again, I was talking to a person who was, trying to navigate the airport to get out to where I was going to be picked up, but had calm. And when I called the company for the transportation service to take me to the hotel, their voicemail was full.
Oh, no.
And then, no, but I was very because I was talking to this business person. He says, Cindy, we talked for quite a bit. He says, I know where the hotel is. I live in this area. If you don't mind, I'd be happy to drop you. He did, bless his heart. I got the hotel like 11 o'clock at night. Got checked in. I did a wake up call myself at 3:30 in the morning to get out to get their free transportation back at 4:20, get back to the airport, and my flight did take off, which is good. But in this case, I had taken travel insurance. So what I did was I actually filed a claim because I had to pay for the hotel.
Mhm.
And now when I reach out to the airline, because I know some of their top executives, just in a very transparent way, what's your protocol for this? And one of their senior executives said, Cindy, I checked the flight you're on. They should have put you in a hotel. Send me a receipt. I'll get reimbursed. Well, in the meantime, what I did was I did a claim with my travel insurance company, and they sent me a check 3 weeks later. So I let this executive know, hey, by the way, I just got a check. I found my insurance claim. I'm good. Just let her know. Don't worry about it. But the point is, with this travel insurance company I've used, just maybe in the past year or so, maybe longer than that, they started doing these year-long travel insurance plans.
Okay.
And people are not aware of that. Okay. It's called Allianz Travel Insurance. Another one I've used before is called Travel Guard. Nice people, great people, but I have gotten to know some people at Allianz have written about insurance for my friend Just Magazine too. But I did just purchase a year-long travel insurance policy myself. It's good for a year.
So
different
Cindy,
categories. Yes.
before you go over the types of insurance, let me ask you a few questions. So
Yes.
what exactly is travel insurance? Like where do you get it and what does it cover?
Okay, it depends on the policy, okay? Because years ago, you'd always just get a policy for a trip, okay? And I've used that. One time I wound up getting norovirus on a cruise ship,
Okay.
okay? And norovirus it's not coronavirus, it's norovirus. It's been around for a long time, but I got it on the ship. I think somebody brought it on board the second cruise. I was doing the back-to-back cruises, but it was like flu-like symptoms, whatever. I was quarantined to my stateroom, and they sent me a bill. I had to go, they had one of the people from the medical center see me, but I had travel insurance to cover that cost too. Another time with travel insurance, I was taking a cruise, and what happened was I was checking my flight with my luggage with the sky cabs outside. They actually routed it to the wrong airport. Didn't realize it. I get into Lauderdale, looking for my luggage, is not there. They routed to the wrong airport. So anyway, I wound up, I had travel insurance. What they did was they had to report things, had to receive my receipts, then put those in there, and then they reimbursed me a certain amount of money too when I got back. But luckily what happened was the airline brought it back. It was going to miss my flight, but I actually had a chance to go to the Sawgrass Mills, plus went to Target, pick up certain things I needed for a couple of days. The airline coordinated with another airline. They sent my check bags down to St. Thomas. I got my bags in St. Thomas 2.5 days later.
Wow.
Once again, it covers different things. The thing is, there are different policies, okay? And you can buy a policy for a specific trip. But what I like too about these year-long plans is they will give you coverage
the one I just purchased was not their basic one. This is called their, it's like, their premium one, but it covers a little bit more. And what you do is you keep it, and then if you have to coordinate, they've got help desk people you can actually contact too if you run into a situation.
Okay, so you purchase, you're going on a trip. So tell me, let's say that I'm going on a trip and I want to get travel insurance. What's the process?
You need to work with a travel insurance company.
Okay,
And that's one thing with travel advisors. When I worked as a travel advisor myself, we had different travel insurance companies that we work with.
okay. So I
Work
call the
with them.
travel country and then call, okay, and then what?
No, then you can actually, and in my case, when I booked my Allianz travel insurance for the year-long policy, not just for a specific trip, I reached out to them. The person I talked to was really terrific as far as providing some help, what's covered, what's not covered. But in my case, I went with a little bit more expensive plan, but it covers a little bit more. For instance, if it just varies so much, you know, it's a whole different ballgame, so to speak. But like I said, the policy that I got, it's an individual insurance, travel insurance policy, but it covers me for a year. So if something comes
Oh.
up, you have like delays, whatever, like if you have more than a 6-hour delay, they cover things for you, which is good. Because like I said, in my case, what happened was with that hotel situation, when I was flying back from the cruise and we took up late, misconnected, I had taken cruise insurance to cover the cruise. Once again, they actually did reimburse me for the hotel night after I filed a claim.
Okay, so it covers accommodation
things.
costs and,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's just, it's a little bit more involved because when I got the policy from Allianz, it was several pages, but once again, it just covers, you know, if you have, if you need flight assistance, you know, if your flight's delayed or canceled, they can assist helping you find another flight.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and like I said, accommodation assistance, same thing. If your trust's been interrupted or delayed, they can assist me with changing the reservation or finding alternative accommodations.
Oh, that's nice. That's
But
really nice.
different things like that, they have different policies, like I said, just like, trying to think what else. For instance, if you needed to find maybe a doctor medical care tool while traveling, they can help you with that too.
Oh,
Now,
wonderful.
will it cover the medical expenses itself if you have to see a doctor, or is it just assisting you in locating a doctor?
Let's see, it says here, okay, if you're hospitalized, our medical staff will stay in contact with you and then doctor care for you, and then they can notify, I'm trying to think, because I've got the documents, it's a little
Oh,
involved, you know, but it says, let's see here. It should cover that too, though, because once again, one thing came up too, if people got stranded somewhere because they tested positive for coronavirus, they couldn't fly back. Usually travel insurance, depending on the policy you get, it's good to kind of look into different types of insurance policies.
right. So
with
they have
travel.
like different amounts like car insurance. You have up to 300,000.
Right,
You
right.
coverage. Okay,
Right.
so you can customize it to what your needs are based on your travel.
Right, because they get different plans, you know.
That's
So it's just kind of
awesome.
good to get an idea what's out there, what's available. Because like I said, I've used it. I mean, you know, when my luggage didn't make it to the ship, I wrote about it after I got back. But the
Okay.
point is, you know, it really helped out too. Because once again, in my case, I was taking a cruise with a friend, and I was arranged to get a rental car. He's doing a cruise with his brother after we got done with our trip. But he says, I'll pick up the rental car. So he did was he dropped me off at Sawgrass Mills, which is in Fort Lauderdale. It's like an outlet mall, picked up some things because I needed something dressy for the second evening, the big dinner thing. And then what happened was they dropped me off at Target
Oh,
to get
nice.
basic things that I needed. I mean,
Oh, so
you know?
this insurance is actually very good. I mean, in terms
Well,
of
yes, because with that trip too, what happened was I tell people I boarded the ship as a bag lady. Because I had my bags from Target plus the Sawgrass Mills, the cocktail dresses. And the thing is, what was ironic too is got on the ship and got message the first night that I got invited to the captain's table for dinner the second night for the big gala event.
right.
Well, thank goodness I found a really cute cocktail dress to wear the second night anyway, but then to get invited to the captain's table because I knew the top execs, they
they put me in the captain's stable for dinner the second night. And then, like I said, what worked out good was the airline I was flying on didn't go to that one port, but the point is it worked out something with another airline, and my luggage got delivered to me on Monday morning about 8:30 once we actually landed in St. Thomas. It worked out fine. But once
Wow.
again, they really helped me, and then I had to the purchases I made, I had to submit those to the travel insurance company. They reimbursed me for that,
Oh,
which is great.
but I love this because this is almost like concierge service in combination with insurance. I mean, because when you're traveling, sometimes when things happen, you're left to do everything yourself. So you don't have
Right.
anybody to call. But if you can call your insurance company and they can get you,
Yes.
your accommodations worked out, they can get you to a medical facility, let's say in COVID cases where you have to take a test. I mean,
Yes.
this is great. Like, who wouldn't want to purchase this? I mean, I'm all for it
Exactly.
right now.
But the
And
thing is
it's
too, is this happened with my parents. After we closed our travel agency, my mom and dad like to travel. My mom actually lost her right leg to heel cancer the year after we closed the agency.
oh,
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
But no, she was doing fine. But what happened was my dad liked to travel like crazy. He had the traveling bug as a kid, but they traveled. But what happened was they were going to be doing this Alaskan cruise. So I booked it, made sure that I had them purchase travel insurance.
Mhm.
They took off. I took them to the airport and they took off, and then they had a connecting flight somewhere, maybe Denver, but my dad ate something at a fast food restaurant, wasn't feeling good. They get to Vancouver, where they're going to be actually embarking on the ship he had thrown up in the bathroom on the airplane, which was not good. So anyway, they actually went to the area to check in, but he mentioned, I'm not feeling good, but this is before coronavirus hit, of course. What happened was they let him on the ship, but he was kind of quarantined. And what happened was then they called me. Thank goodness I had contacts at that cruise line because they actually could connect me directly to the ship. So I actually talked to different people, because the big thing is, and my dad was still recouping a little bit. He wasn't feeling good. So what we did was, thanks to travel insurance, I was able to get them rebooked on a flight that was going to be leaving the ship, but the first port they docked at to get him flown back.
Oh, okay.
And then they did get some reimbursement, but I was able to get that arranged. Otherwise, you're really stuck. He was quarantined to his room. He finally felt better. But the point is, thank goodness they had travel insurance.
Yeah.
And they contacted me, but thank goodness I had contacts with the cruise line who got me connect with people on that ship.
Right.
Just to coordinate some things as far as them being able to get rebooked on a flight from that first port they're going to be docking at to get them flown back to Chicago area.
Okay.
But that worked out fine.
So
So
you are, well, I mean, are we still, we have, I know we could talk about travel insurance for a long time, but I was
Yes.
kind of like segment into, if that's all right,
Yes.
to your expertise in the travel cruise industry, and maybe kind of like telling us, what it's like to travel by cruise. By a cruise ship. It's because the holidays are coming up, right?
Yes,
And people want to know what to do. And I don't think people really realize that taking a cruise may be more safe than doing something else. So, but
I truly believe in that, because once again, a good example, we've had some horrific hurricanes that have hit. We have recently. And that's what's been so sad, because they hit different areas and devastated them. But the one thing that's kind of like, I think, a plus factor with cruise lines, they can move their ships out of the way of the hurricanes.
Oh, nice.
Okay. No, they do. In fact, when we had the hurricanes that came up, I'm trying to think which hurricane it was a couple of years ago, but it was one that was going to, it hit San Juan, Puerto Rico, hit St. Thomas pretty bad. But what happened was cruise lines actually canceled some of their cruising ships. And one actually, what they did was they took the ship out to sea. They got this emergency call from St. Thomas because there were thousands of people stranded at the airport in St. Thomas because it got hit so bad. They took that
Wow.
ship. Norwegian Cruise Line took their ship. It was empty, no passengers. They just took it out to sea. They took their ship to St. Thomas. They dropped the supplies, and they were able to, I think, take maybe 1,200 people on that ship back to Miami came back safely. And what was really nice too is the president, Norwegian Cruise Line at that time was there greeting people. They got him back. And
Yeah.
cruise lines that didn't have ships maybe sailing at that time, they still had a way to drop off supplies. Okay.
Mhm.
Another
Oh,
good
nice.
example is with Royal Caribbean, their headquarters are based in Miami, by
Okay.
the port of Miami. What they do was they've got other facilities where they have the reservation staff members too. They've got more than just one location for reservations. But some of the people worked in their headquarters, they're working, the hurricane was coming through. What they did was they got those people on one of their ships and their families
Oh, wow.
on that ship, took it out to sea for a couple of days, and Michael Bailey, the president of Royal Caribbean, was on board that ship with those people and the staff members and their families.
Oh, wow.
Get them safe because they couldn't get out in time from Florida.
Right.
But they do that, and they do some wonderful things. Once again, too, it goes back to on cruise ships. What's nice is you have so many different options. You know, there are big ships, of course, there's some smaller ones. One example, there is actually a cruise line is just adults only. Virgin Voyages,
Right.
Virgin
So you don't
Voyages.
take the children, but you know, because I've always assumed that, you know, going on a cruise ship and vacationing was really about families and never really having like you know, an adult moment, so to speak, or an adult cruise, or do they do that? Because I've always known it to be very family oriented.
Yes, it really depends on the cruise line. There's so many options out there now that weren't around. But the fun thing is Virgin Voyages is you have to be 18 years and older.
And so
Okay.
what do they offer? Basically, it's just the same environment as the cruise, as these other cruise ships. It's just leave
It's a
the
little
kids
bit
at home.
different. In their case, what they do too is they don't have on their ships, they've got two ships right now, Scarlet Lady, which I got a chance to see last year. I was at Sea Trade Cruise Global Conference. What they did was they found me some other media people, and they said to be on at the conference, we can have you come down to see our new ship, Scarlet Lady, Port Miami. And they provide us transportation to get down to Port Miami that evening, run the ship for like 7 hours. We had to do the rapid antigen test first, test negative, then we get on the ship. But in this case, with the Scarlet Lady and their other ship, the Valiant Lady, they don't have the big main dining rooms. They have different dining venues. You make reservations, but they're included,
Mhm.
which is
Oh,
really nice, you know, because sometimes years ago when the cruising first started, you had your main dining, big dining rooms. But just not bad, you know, but the point is now you've got more options out there too. Some cruise lines have special restaurants, you pay a little bit more for that, but the points of Virgin Voyages, they've got different types of restaurants. And we had a chance to dine at this one really fantastic seafood place, great. And then we had one area that we got a chance to see one of their shows. It was fantastic. And the one thing that's really fun too is they have this place for ice cream,
Mhm.
and it's called Lick Me Till. ice
Oh.
And the ice cream is so phenomenal. It's called Lick Me Till, right?
Right.
this
But
is the adult cruise ship, right?
yes, Virgin
Okay.
Voyages, right?
Oh,
No, because
okay.
they've got really fun
All
commercials,
entertainment.
but they've got great entertainment, beautiful ship. It's good to finally see the ship after writing about it too. It's really fun. But they got a really fun commercial. We've got these little kids that are just like crying because they see their parents packing up and you can't take us. It's really fun.
Oh,
Really fun. I know, but other cruise lines, you have luxury ones, you've got ones that are more all inclusive. It really depends on what you really want, because I know with Celebrity Cruises, they really, when they first started, oh my gosh, like late 1980s,
Mhm.
they pulled in Michel Roux to be their chief culinary chef. He was a very well-renowned culinary chef over in Great Britain. He had 5-star Michelin restaurants, but the cuisine was fantastic. And they've done is they've gone to having more things all included too, which is great. But it just varies so much because once again, you've got cruise lines that are a bit more family oriented. One thing about Disney is there, but the point is with Disney, they do have adults only areas on their ships too.
oh, okay.
They
Okay.
do.
See,
They
I mean,
do.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. I mean, I knew that Disney had a ship and, you know,
Several
uh,
ships, yes.
or ships, and they have that
Those areas that are designated for adults.
yeah.
So Cindy, how often do you take cruises? How often do you or did you take cruise? Do you still take cruises throughout the year?
Yeah, I took one. I finally got a chance to take a cruise in was April 30th and came back on May 8th.
Okay.
I did write about it too. It was like a vacation. I have a chance. I'm going to actually be doing a special event. It's actually a naming christening cruise coming up in
Oh.
December. I did this last year too. MSC Cruises, they're not well known, but they're actually family owned. They're the third fastest growing cruise corporation in the world.
Mhm.
But what they do was I got invited, just got everything lined up. They invited me because my writing media, but I'm going to be seeing the MSC Seascape. And what they're doing is to fly me to New York on December 6th. Then we get on the ship. They put me in a hotel first night. The next day, we're actually on the ship. They'll actually be doing their christening ceremony, and the ship will be on the ship that night. And then the next day we get off, and then they fly me back. But the point is, with their Seascape, that later on she will be taking cruises in the Caribbean. They're bringing over from overseas to New York first, but they always have the actress Sophia Loren christen their ships. She's always
Oh,
a
wow.
goddess. Yes.
So where can people find your writings? Are you mainly post on LinkedIn? Do you have a website or a landing
Yeah,
page?
yes, I've got a website. I've got one that Jonah's still building. I've got one just for cindybertram.net. But I do a lot of writing. My published articles also, they go through Leisure Group Travel, part of Premier Travel Media. But also when my articles get published, I put them on my LinkedIn profile too.
Okay.
Yes, and you're found on Facebook. Sometimes I'll see your
Yes.
things on Facebook. So you're
Right.
you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn,
Right.
and those are your
Right.
social media handles that people can actually.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So
Great.
currently, right now, I know you do a lot of things, but how can we support you? How can we refer business to you or support you at this time?
Well, I'm looking for projects too. The thing is, I've got actually two things kind of came up. Well, one just came up yesterday. We'll see. And I've been working with another business friend. We joke about being cousins, long story, but I have contacts like crazy. I'm a good connector. I tell him, Rocky, I say, I like to connect great people with great people. I did get his company in front of a major airline. They already had a company that did what he provides. But once again, I'm working with other people to get him connected. But something else came up with a really fantastic business person. I got connected with him. I just reached out because I actually had a chance to taste their new tequila product. So we got connected on LinkedIn. I do personal messages. And then what happened was we did a phone call yesterday. I said, here's my number, let's talk. So, but it's just like, the point is, I like sharing positive stories. I do usually a weekly or bi-weekly short video series called Extraordinary Not Ordinary. And I try and share extraordinary stories. I've got one I'll be doing probably this week, but the thing is came up too is people don't realize there are all these wonderful things that are being done in the world. We need to share them more than ever. A good example was Holland America Line. But Holland America Line, what they did was, when when those things came up with Ukraine, people are fleeing the Ukraine because of the Russian war. It's been so tough. What they did was a couple cruise lines actually donated their ships for refugees to stay on.
Oh, wow.
They did that. And also, Holland America Line was one of the cruise lines that did this. They're owned by the Carnival Corporation. What they did was on April 1st, they actually announced that the one ship, the Volendam, was going to be used to house Ukrainian refugees. It's going to be docked in Rotterdam. And they were going to actually be providing home for at least 1,500 Ukrainian refugees and their families.
Amazing.
But what they did real quick too is they extended it. Okay. They actually originally was supposed to be available for about 3 months. They just extended it. And what they did was those families had a chance to spend, there's another charter that they did was 6 months. They let their ship be allowed to be chartered for 6 months to have those family members on. What they did was they actually, on the ship, they actually converted this entertainment stage area into a creative learning area to accommodate families with their kids. Also, the Salvation Army did coordinate relief and social services for families, and they added crew members that actually spoke Ukrainian. And then at the end, what they did was they finally finished that up on September 24th. Okay, 6 months later, what they did was, thanks to crew, those children on that ship actually made a tile mosaic of the Volendam.
Oh, wow.
And Holland America Line plans to really build a permanent display of this artwork
on their ship, which is great. So once again, the Bowling Dam just returned to service on September 24th with regular passengers. But you know, how wonderful is that? They do things
That's
like this.
wonderful.
Yes.
And you don't hear about it, and we don't
No.
hear about it.
And
That's why I
I
don't
like
listen to
sharing
the
those kind of
news.
stories.
I don't listen to, you know what, we need some good news. We're gonna have Cindy on and share the good news. There's a lot of goodness in the world. We just
There
don't hear
is.
about it.
Well,
We just
even when the
don't-
hurricanes hit, like said, like, you know, a good example, when Norwegian Cruise Line had their ship go to St. Thomas, pick up those people that were stranded at the airport because the airport got shut down, but they dropped off supplies. They got them back to Port Miami, and the
Mhm.
president of Norwegian Cruise Line was there greeting people. And cruise lines that didn't have maybe ships, they donated different things. Also, a good example, MSC Cruises, they are family owned, and they've got another company, and they've got this Mediterranean shipping company themselves. Okay.
Mhm.
What they do is they actually had some of their container shipping companies out in that area. They dropped off supplies as the places got hit so bad.
Oh,
But we need
wow.
to share those kinds of stories. And also a good example with MSC Cruises too is they've got a foundation. And what they did was last year I had a chance to be on their other newest ship that was debuting last year. What they did was they flew me down to Miami, then we took off on the ship on Wednesday. And what they did was they've got this private out island in the Bahamas. But what they did was Pierre Francesco Vagos, who's the president, it's family owned.
Mhm.
And what they did was he negotiated a deal with the Bahamian government to lease the island for $100 million.
Wow.
It had been actually abandoned by this manufacturing plant.
Okay.
Okay, what happened was the wildlife was dead. The sea life was dead. The trees were dead. This manufacturing plant, they left like they had to tow away 1,500 tons of scrap metal. They had to plant like 75,000 trees. They were doing efforts to rebuild the sea life. Then we were actually at the island. They actually docked there. It's gorgeous. It's not just a party island. It's gorgeous. The trees were really gorgeous. What they did too is they actually did sand cutting on that island by their top executives. What they're doing is they're building a marine lab there too.
Oh, wow.
And then they christened the ship that evening. But the thing that was really cool is it's in the Bahamas. It's not that far away. So we were able to chance to be on the island if we want to stay till midnight, you know. And we took up at 1 o'clock in the morning and they got back. But the point is for them to do that as part of their MSC Foundation, I thought just to spend like $500 million of their own money to get things really back in order, that really says a lot. And we need to share those stories more than ever.
We do. So, you know, we would love to have you back on, you know, months later to share some more good
Right.
news because you know what, if we don't do it, it's not going to get out there.
Right.
Besides that, I don't
Well-
listen to the news.
Well, I don't either, because I tell people I've written 2 books. Okay. I wrote a book about the top women cruise line executives. I am going to update that book. I got it published in 2018. We have women that are cruise line presidents.
Okay.
They've got great stories. Okay. Christine Duffy is president of Carnival Cruise Lines. She wanted to be a flight attendant once she got out of school. Well, back in those days, you had to be a certain height and weight. Guess
Right.
what? She was 2 inches too short to be a flight attendant.
Oh, wow.
She was 5'2", you had to be 5'4". So she got a job at a travel agency, worked in reservations first and moved up. And she actually got into incentive travel, then moved her family down to another company. She actually became president of a big travel incentive company. Then she became president of the Cruise Lines International Association, I think in 2013, maybe or before that. And then in 2015, she became president, started in 2016, became president of Carnival Cruise Line.
And you wrote a book about this.
Yes, I've got women that are top women executives. Another one is actually Jan Schwartz, who is president of Princess Cruises. She moved up being joint president of Princess Cruises and Holland America Line. But they got great stories. I plan to update the book in 2020 because there's one woman cruise line president, Lisa Lutoff Perlow, who didn't have time to be my first book. But the thing is, they were building their first new ship in like 7 years. I said, Lisa, ship comes first. Don't worry about it. Okay. Well, in 2020, in January, I saw at the New York Times Travel Show. I talked to her. She said, Cindy, I want to help you. I got her information, her photographs, answers to my questions by end of February, but then coronavirus hit.
Oh.
And one of the executives in my book, Edie, who was chairman of cruise line, I got to know when she was actually a vice president, moved up president of the cruise line, quietly told me she's going to step down. That let's just kind of wait, okay? But that's why I wrote the other book about top executives I interacted with over the years.
Now,
But I thought
where can they find your book?
they're on Amazon. My newest book, which I got done in the last year, is called Message from the Dog, Learning from Great Humans.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
But I've got
Is it-
famous people in this book. You know, people like their dogs like their kids. Okay. Zoe, Miss Zoe is my sister's dog. She's my puppy niece.
Okay.
But we talk a lot. Okay. I thought, well, you know, I was writing articles on LinkedIn about just message from the dog. I did a fun twist on coronavirus. I wrote a serious article about coronavirus, right? First, because I did a lot of research, how it came up, this. So I thought, okay, let's do a fun twist, right? Because it was so devastating. I thought, let's do a fun twist. So I wrote this article, published on LinkedIn, Message from the Dog. It's a series from, you know, by Miss Zoe and Cindy. And I did the article from her voice. Okay, now, you know, we're talking about the word pandemic. And she said, you know, kind of scared Cindy me. We looked up, this is what it means. And we talked about this, and you have to be safe out there. She says, okay, you have to wash your hands. She says, I wash my paws. And then I said,
Oh, how
okay, the
cute.
article, okay, social distancing, you know,
Mhm.
staying 6 feet apart from people. She's okay. Confession time. I'm banned in the house because I like to sit on people's laps.
Oh, is
But-
this book for children or for adults or
No,
both?
no. It's for adults. But the point is, in the article, I finished the article by saying, okay, but I said in the article, because this is about the coronavirus thing, after about in the house sitting in people's laps, I said, okay, but when I'm outside, I got my leash and collar on me. I'm dragging my parents 6 feet behind me.
Okay.
But that was just an article I wrote. But I wrote this book. I've got famous people I've interacted with that lot. I did the dog twist because people like their dogs like their kids.
They
I thought,
do.
we need a fun twist. I've got famous people. Herb Kelleher, the founder of Southwest Airlines, had sent me 2 letters in 2001. I sent him a letter. He's moving up to being chairman of Southwest Airlines. I had worked selling, I had put clients in Southwest Airlines myself, although I specialize in cruises. But I had one client who was sending her son by himself. He was old enough to travel by himself. The problem is he had changed gates. The reservation agent that I work with to get this person, her son's booked on this flight. She says, Cindy, I work at that airport. I will take him from one gate to another. Oh my God, this is great. But people like that dealt with Southwest Airlines and reservations. I wrote him a letter because he's going to be moving up to chairman of Southwest Airlines from being the president. I similarly, he sent the most beautiful thank you letter back. He says, Cindy, his people work here. Then he gave me a quote. She's an article. But he's chairman. He sent me a thank you. He sent me a letter, then he gave me a quote. And I have a chapter about Captain Kate McHugh. She's the first American woman captain of a cruise line ship.
Oh, okay.
The first American woman captain. I met her. Her name is
Okay.
Captain Kate McHugh. She's gorgeous. She looks like Sandra Bullock. She's very, very energetic. And she has her cat on board the ship with her.
How cute.
Yes. But her cat's name is Bug Naked. Okay. Because he doesn't have a lot of fur.
Oh, cat's name is called Butt Naked.
Fernate. Is it?
Bug Naked is her cat's name.
Oh.
Bug Naked.
Yeah. But it's funny because the thing is, what happened was she's captain, she's gorgeous, and she
Sure.
is captain of Celebrity on their newest ship. But what happened was they just did this big President's Cruise. Lisa Lutow-Perillo is the president of Celebrity Cruises. She's on board special President's Cruise. And of course, Captain Kate was on board, plus they had some other captains too. What they do is they took turns. But the fun thing is they did this trivia contest. I think the first or second evening. Guess who ran the trivia contest?
You.
Captain Kate McHugh with her cat.
It's as big a celebrity or anybody that you're talking about. So
No, but it was, but Captain Kate McHugh and her cat ran this trivia contest. Okay. And when people
Great.
always heard, they ran to this place where it was being held, you know. And the funny thing is, I think when people got the answers right, she had her cat meow.
Oh, that's
How
so
cute. How
Oh,
cute.
But we've got great people. And I thought we need to share their stories. They're down to people.
We
I've got a
do.
chapter,
We
chapter
do.
about my friend Rick. He calls me his pen pal. Rick is actually former president of Celebrity Cruises in 1990s. He actually then became president of MSC Cruises in 2004 when they decided to do an office in Miami area,
Okay.
right? He's moved to being chairman, but I have known him for years. And I have a short story published in Chicken Soup for the Traveler's Soul.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
real story. It happened on Celebrity cruises. I got a chance to do a celebrity cruise, Alaskan cruise last minute on their newest ship, the Galaxy, in 1997.
Oh,
I had written Rick a letter because they got bought up by Royal Caribbean, but he thanked me so much about supporting them because I was still working as a travel advisor, also doing writing. But what happened was I got a chance to do Alaskan cruise last minute. Okay, so selling like Alaska plus celebrity cruises, got my dining confirmed 2 days before I went. I did the Alaskan cruise with another travel advisor friend, and we got on board the ship. I saw Will's the first night, went to the dining room, had late dining. As a young man came to our table in a wheelchair.
no.
I could tell he was missing his left arm of the shoulder, right?
Mhm.
But we were joking about business classes because he mentioned he was going to finish his degree in business, University of California. Well, I got my MBA, Master's in Business Administration from Loyola, University of Chicago. It was very tough because I had a background in liberal arts, okay, undergrad degree, liberal arts, high creative edge. But anyway, I got through it. But I had one professor, we had a seating chart in graduate school.
Mm.
It was kind of funny, but I made Mike kind of laugh. And anyway, he left dinner kind of early. His parents explained what happened. They brought him on this cruise to celebrate. 9 months before, he's going back to campus. He stayed up the freeways in California the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
He was on a motorcycle,
Oh,
the leather jacket on, being very safe, helmet on, the whole thing. He had a car, but what happened was he decided to sell it and somebody crashed it and just totaled it. But he was very safe. Okay, he took the back roads. 2:00 in the afternoon, this 83-year-old woman fell asleep, hit him head on. They got him to the they got him to the hospital. The jacket saved his life. It served as a tourniquet. They cut that leather jacket off. His arm exploded. They gave this kid 20 years of blood. And no brain damage because he had the helmet on, the whole thing, but they had amputated his left arm at the shoulder, his left leg above the knee. But he's
Oh,
very
wow.
athletic. He was in a coma for 6 days, a semi-comatose state by 6 days. He finally found out bed, woke up.
Oh.
He was very athletic and he had a great sense of humor. His parents came in for his birthday in December 21st. His
Mhm.
buddies from college, and his mother was always dramatic. She says, "Oh, Mike, you've lost so much weight." He turns to her deadpan and says, "Well, Mom, I decided on a crash diet." And she just
I
wigged out.
Make light
What
of the
happened?
crash, right?
Right. But the point is, he got off at every port in Alaska and is going around the ship in a non-motorized wheelchair.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay, but it was really great. Then what happened was 3 months before I got the thank you letter from Rick. He was president of Celebrity Cruise. This is Cindy. If you have anything, don't hesitate to call me. I found out that his family they set up a trust fund, raise money for his prosthetic limbs because his student insurance covered practically nothing. And what do you do? Sue an 83-year-old woman? Forget it. Anyway, I reached out to Rick. I mean, I pull off a couple of things. I got him a private tour of the wine cellar because I knew the maitre d', different things. And at the end of the cruise, I said, "Mike, I'm going to try and get a cruise donated to a trust fund." He said, "That's good. I want to graduate." "What graduation?" I said, "You do that and I'll be there." I reached out to Rick when I got back. I sent him a letter with pictures of Mike because he got off every port. I mean, seriously, sometimes they actually had to carry him off the ship in a wheelchair. He joked about being king for a day. Okay.
Wow.
But I reached out to Rick when I got back. I said, "I need help with a new friend." Guess what? 2 weeks after I sent him a letter, I got a call from headquarters in Miami. They wanted to donate who they're going to be donating that cruise to be raffled off. I got him connected to Mike's family. His family raffled that cruise off for dog piece, raised $25,000. I wrote about it. The trade magazines picked up on it too. They loved it. And then the next year, Rick came to Chicago for another event. And then in the evening, a dinner type thing. He says, "Well, we donate cruise to Mike's trust fund." I thought, oh my God, I got tied up in paperwork. But 3 days before I went to Mike's graduation,
Yeah.
in June of 1999, I got the second letter cruise line donation.
Oh, wow.
And he got fitted with a prosthetic leg. He walked to graduation. They did
Really?
yes, he walked to graduation. He practiced walking the day before. I flew in Saturday morning. His graduation was evening. He walked to graduation. His parents had a small little dinner thing, and that's what gave him the second letter cruise line donation. But it was that raised another $35,000 for his trust fund.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And then Chicken Soup was doing their new book, Chicken Soup for the Traveler's Soul. I
That's-
submitted the
yeah.
story. It's called A Cruise and a Promise, and it made it in the book.
Oh, congrats.
beautiful.
That gets a clap.
Yes.
We, you know what,
Yes.
Cindy, I mean, we've been going on for a while,
I
but
know, I know.
we would love, no, you're amazing. You're an amazing individual, and I love your spirit, and I love your spirit of giving and your compassion. Love to have you back on and share some more
Thank
good
you.
stories, but let us know how we can support you, whether
Sure.
it be promote your book, whether it be, you know,
Right.
wherever you're looking for, we're here for you.
But thank you.
And so I want to thank Tiffany Jones for inviting you, and I've been inspired by your story and the
Yeah,
story
you-
that you
Well,
tell.
I think it's all about, having a positive impact. I mean, that's part of me. I love, that's part of my DNA. I like connecting great people, but also somehow, having a positive impact is so important too. And sharing those stories, we need that more than ever. Having,
Yes.
We
I mean,
do.
there's so much negative stuff out there. Let's share some things. One of the speaking topics, I'm still trying to find out the speaking things too with my book, but I tell people, okay, as Zoe and I say, positivity breeds positivity.
I get that.
I
Well, we
that.
need that. We need that.
A play on words. I'm an English
Oh,
major, so
wow.
play on words. Well,
Yes.
we'll be in touch, and
Great.
we'll definitely have you back on. So
Thank
I
you.
thank all of you for joining me tonight, and I look forward to another time when we can have more discussions and positive positive stories that
Yes, we need
inspire.
that.
So
Right. And
Those.
I'm a big fan, Cindy. I'm going to do my part. I have other things that I do. I'm promoting you any way I can because I think you're awesome. And when I
Yes.
first met you, I thought you were awesome. So I will
Thank
be a
you.
continued supporter.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. You guys, it's been such a pleasure. And Tiffany, you're fantastic. It's so good to meet you.
I know. Thank you.
No, so
Thank
good.
you. So is Stacy. Stacy and I got
Oh,
together
yes,
to do
yes.
this to really have good people talk about good things and more positive things, and just to let people know what's going on out
Right.
there in the insurance industry, as it is. People don't know about travel insurance. They didn't know about that.
Right.
But
I'm gonna pause.